Hey, brother, I was just talking about punching you in the gut. I don't really want to do that.
Well, I cut our guest off in mid-speech, so we were trying to get everything set up for the call here. You guys were going over some information that we said was so good. We need to get him back on get him on the
Yes.
podcast here to talk about it.
I know. We said, quit talking, Hugh. We got to get you on and talk about it for real. So
That's right. And how about we do that?
You want to?
Yeah, we could talk forever, and we do. So let's just bring Hugh on.
I mean, we broke bread a few weeks ago and got everything talked out for a while. So
That's right.
all right, let's go do it. Let's go bring.
All right, let's bring on Hugh.
All right. Boom. Isn't that great stuff right there?
Beautiful.
It's awesome. Okay, I like it anyways. Hugh Hornsby, welcome back, brother.
Hey, such a good friend in the trades business, and it's funny how we connected. It's pretty amazing, and I just want to say thanks, Randy, for having me on, and thank you for everything that you do for our incredible trades industry. It is. I always say every morning I wake up, I go out and I look at the boats, the crab boats, the crabbers that are out there at 4 a.m. and 3 a.m. And I think that's what kind of built America is that hard work.
Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And I've been incredibly blessed to have you come into my life, man. You're a good friend, a brother, a pal, and you just first class. And what I really love, outside of the fact that you're kind of a funny guy too, a comedian. I'm looking at a picture here on another screen of you on the stage. One day, you need to bring your comedy show somewhere near me because I have this real desire to heckle you. I don't know. I can't explain that, but
yeah, I tell you what. As you know, 2.5 years ago, I was diagnosed with stage 4 prostate cancer.
Right.
And I was a pretty healthy guy, and but it makes you look at the world from a whole different perspective. And when you're looking at your wife and you're saying, "Hey, this is not the way it's supposed to end." Well, I didn't know at the time that it was really not an end; it was a beginning. And I'm now cancer-free. I was able to get through that. But one of the things that came off of that was going to New York City and doing comedy at the West Side Comedy Club. And I can't even tell you what made me decide to do that, but it was one of the neatest experiences I've ever had.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I'm looking at a picture. Is that the picture I'm looking at when you got a plaid shirt on, flannel shirt on?
Yeah, that was me. They wanted me to dress up like a country hick, and from Hayes, Virginia, and because I guess they wanted those people from New York to look at me from a little different perspective. I got my cowboy boots on, and that was quite a night.
That's good. Well, that's awesome. And yeah, I remember when we first met, you were just coming off or still involved with some of your treatments or just off of it. And I mean, it's great news and congratulations on that. I mean,
it's anybody that's been diagnosed with cancer and it just kind of hits you as a shock. But
yeah.
The good Lord, somehow they misdiagnosed it as being stage 4. It ended up being stage 3A. And we were able to take care of it. And I did kind of do the comedy stuff at my treatments. And I was the one that always tried to bring the smile for all those people that were suffering.
There you go. That's awesome, man. That's awesome. Well, really, congratulations. Tell us a little bit about, besides that part, which now we know, tell us a little bit about who Hugh Hornsby is, and then let's rock and roll on a new podcast you've got out and a book coming up. And but first, let's build the background a little bit about who Hugh is, because as you mentioned, and I'll thank you back, for all you do for the trades. You're very active in the trades, and I think you and I both, that's one of the loves we have is the importance of the trades, right? And so tell us a little bit about you, your background, where you come from, what you do, and how did we get to today?
Yeah, so I was diagnosed, I fell off a swing set at the age of 10, diagnosed with epilepsy. And I certainly didn't. I was in the hospital for about a week. And I remember the doctor telling me I had epilepsy. I had no idea. I thought he said leprosy. So I guess I read the wrong passage in the Bible. But I was very fortunate at that time. My mom took me outside, and we were getting in the car, and she said, Hugh, she had a tear in her eye, and she said, never let anybody hold you back, especially yourself. I was like, okay, Mom, all I really wanted to do was go out and play. But I didn't know that at that time she was changing my mindset on how to look at life. And I did go through epilepsy, and I'm still an epileptic today, controlled, but I had to deal with overcoming such adversity at a young age. She used to put underdog books on my bed to read, and she really changed my mindset to becoming somebody that not to listen to what everybody else told me I could do, but to overcome those challenges. So that's kind of where Blue Collar Smart comes from, because I was never really great in school. Math was hard, English was hard, but what I used to call myself is I used to always look at things and be able to overcome. And so I used to call myself Blue Collar Smart. I did that up until about 10 years ago. And when I decided to do this podcast, I said, hey, I've got the perfect name. We're going to call it Blue Collar Smart.
Love that. That's a great title and a great podcast. I've watched whatever 1 or 2 or 3 you've had out so far. You honored me with having me on a while back, and hopefully I said something that made sense, but time to tell.
Absolutely. I'll let you know when yours is coming out, because one thing about Randy, you always bring it, and you did a great job that day. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you. I apparently my school background in high school and junior high was to talk my way through school. The studying thing was I didn't understand that part. It's like, I'll just ask dumb questions, and you tell me to go sit in the principal's office and toss me a Sports Illustrated. But at some point in time, it actually started to pay off, to talk a little bit. But I love what you do, and I love the title, The Blue Collar Smart. Tell us a little bit about the podcast, and then let's talk about your book. But I know first you're a business advisor too. You're a motivational speaker. You're big on sales and organizations, and I know you believe in systems. Where do you want to go with this thing? Tell us about the podcast first. Let's talk about that, and then let's talk about the
the Blue Collar podcast was really about the journey that I had in building up and turning around over 10 divisions, all based on people. And I always tried to find those people that maybe needed a second chance. Mm-hmm. And then I would just develop them. And, they'd have to go through like a 7-step process that I had developed. But it all started with that burning desire. We all know that from Think and Grow Rich. Right. But the biggest thing I wanted to do was to build teams out of it. And so when I was able to find people that maybe had been held back, or even companies, Randy, such as, MyFab and Everflow, they were kind of stuck at a certain level. That's when I'm able to really kick it into overdrive. But when we did this last one with Everflow, I was able to go out and hire people, not because of the resume, but because of the potential. Mm-hmm. And it was one of those things is that people would follow me and want to be a part of it. And so it was a pretty big deal. But I did the same thing when I was in college. I started a fraternity in college, and it was a bunch of misfits that couldn't get in the other fraternities. And in 2 years, we were the largest fraternity on campus. So it was always based about people and getting people to raise themselves to that next level that maybe somebody else had not given them the trust or even the ability to figure out what it was that was inside of them.
So one thing I'm hearing from you, and I think it's really interesting, but before I do that, we got to go back to something. Underdog, as in the underdog, the cartoon character Underdog. Is that the book?
My favorite book is The Little Engine That Could.
There you go.
And so when I say underdog, it was more sports books that, it was about those teams, almost kind of like the bad Bad News Bears, or in today's the USA hockey team.
Right.
When I find those people, I just, it's something inside of me that just rears up.
Love it. Well, I was showing my age a little bit there, probably because there was a cartoon character back in the day called Underdog.
Oh yeah, well you're aging both of us, but my mom was so neat. You're talking about mindset and subconscious mind. She knew that I had challenges, but she would throw those books every week. She'd throw a different book on my bed, and I'd read them, and over a period of time, it was like, okay, that's just who I was.
Yeah. Well, you hit on something a minute ago, and I kind of deferred to Underdog for a minute because I don't know, it was interesting to me. But everybody out there, I think, has another gear or two, right? That they don't know they have it, or they're taught to believe, or brought up to believe, or whatever's happened to them. They're in that position where they don't recognize that extra gear or two or three, right? Or speed or abilities, whatever you want to call it. And I love where you come from with that is a lot of your life has been spent on fighting that yourself, finding your own next gear or two, but also helping other people realize that you can do more. And I think a lot of it is the mindset of actually somebody believing in them and asking them for more, right? That's not all you got. I know that's not all you got, right? That's pretty important.
It's 100%. But one of the things I asked for these people was that, hey, if I'm going to invest in you, that means you got to invest in yourself. I found out, coming out of college, that's really when I found my passion. And, I love sales and I love people, but I love reading. And what I find is there's so many people that either stop in high school, or they stop when they go to the military, or they stop in college and they don't read anymore. And I'm a firm believer. I'm a firm believer. And I used to tell my team, I make them dress up and say, hey, you dress like the person that you want to become. And I'm a firm believer in making sure people make a decision to become that person that they want to become. But that doesn't just happen. That means you have to invest in yourself. And when they would do that, I'd say, okay, I'm going to invest in you. And believe me, I did invest in these people, but they had to invest in themselves.
Right. Yeah. Because without that, regardless of how much you invest in somebody, if they're not invested in themselves, there's only about so far you can go as a leader, right? At some point, it's really still got to come back to the person. Give them the opportunity, right? Give them the training, give them the teaching, give them the coaching, the encouragement, but you can't make them take that next step. You can suggest it, you can make it available, you can motivate for it, but it comes down to the ability of that person to say, you know what, you're right. Hugh believes in me. Maybe I need to believe in myself, right?
Yeah, and it's been kind of, I have so many people that I've been able to help. And when they come back to me, and it makes me feel good, but at the end of the day, it's like, I helped you, but all I really did was guide. Mm-hmm. You made that personal decision. And that to me is really important because, my mom and my dad were the ones that kind of guided me, but I had to really kind of open that up. And I will tell you that I've had disappointments with people that I thought were going to come through and didn't. It did not. And, but I was able to build teams out of it, and at Everflow, it was pretty amazing. We went from 65 to 155 million in 3.5 years.
Wow.
We kind of outpunted our coverage, to be honest with you.
That's pretty impressive. That's pretty impressive. So on the podcast, and I speak from experience because I was on it with you a little bit ago and really enjoyed it. What you bring to the table there. What will they expect to get from the Blue Collar Smart podcast? Who should listen? What are they going to get from this? And what's the takeaway is going to be of checking out you and your guests that you have?
It's going to be everything from a guy that turns the wrench to the guy that rings the bell on Wall Street. and talking to all those people that have really overcome something. When I say built different, what they'll be able to learn is they're going to learn that other people may look like Randy Chafee has just had incredible success, but we're going to hear about the challenges they had, along the way, the challenges that they had along the way. We're also going to show systems and different people that have developed programs that they can take a look at, and they can go out and follow them and become a part of, figuring those people out that maybe they wouldn't have access otherwise.
Right.
And then for those founders out there, it's going to be really strong for them, because right now there's a huge transition going on in the industry. People are they're aging out, and so there's a recycle going on. Private equity is a big part of that, and a lot of people think private equity is a terrible thing. It's not. It's part of the process. They're the ones that usually bring the systems, but they got to make sure that the relationships, and there's a chapter in the book called Street Smart versus Corporate Smart, and you need both. And so we're going to have those people on, and then we're going to have some people that have just been underdogs. So I've got Dave Sanderson, who was the last person off the plane in the Hudson.
Yes.
John Register is coming on. He blew his leg out training for the Olympics, and now he's a motivational speaker. And finding some of those people that can tell their stories so other people can listen to it and say, hey, they've overcome adversity, so can I.
Oh, great story. I love John Register's story. I'm looking forward to that one. And yeah, Dave Sanderson, he's a friend of the show. He's been on, and great guy, great story. It's a inspiring story. So I can't wait for that one.
Hey friends, it's Randy here, the owner of Source One Marketing, ibuyfromrandy.com. And I got to tell you, we are proud to sponsor the Building Wins Live podcast and vlogcast. We have 4+ decades in this beautiful industry of supplying materials, supplying services, supplying marketing assistance, and we just are proud to sponsor Building Wins Live and some great guests that we have every single week, many of them from our beloved industry and many of them from outside the industry that still bring some incredible content. So make sure to check us out at ibuyfromrandy.com and let us know what you think about this show. For now, thanks for checking this out. Let's get back to the show.
So you wrote the book, and I think it's under the same title, pretty much. Blue Collar Smart, Built Different. Did I get that title?
Yeah. So it's Blue Collar Smart, Built Different, Underdog Proven, Trades Tested.
Love it.
And as you know, right now, the trades are the big thing, and there's a lot to that. We're going to have PHCC on, the president. We're going to have some pretty incredible people on to kind of talk about what's going on with the industry. But it really is a podcast that really we want to show the industry as being a go-to place to come work. It's been an industry I've been in for 40 years. One of the reasons I built Everflow out is that I wanted to bring more talent into the industry and be a part of that, and I was able to do that. But right now, the industry is very family oriented. A lot of family businesses, and it's been one of those industries that's been hidden. It's a jewel that's been hidden, and now all of a sudden it's being discovered by private equity and some of the others. And I think it's time for people to really start taking a look at our industry and be a part of it. The other thing that I feel about it is there are some other shows that are out there, and they're all great shows. But the financial aspect of personal wealth is extremely important, and entrepreneurial wealth, so that we can help create the next entrepreneurs to be able to buy these businesses and be a part of that.
There you go. Well, and I love that you're bringing to the forefront, because you said that, I think very accurately a minute ago, that the trades, if you will, are looked upon way better now than they were. There's this period of time where everything was geared towards college prep and going to college and getting the 4 year or the longer degree and doing those things. And there's a lot of value to that. And there's certain things that, I mean, you're not going to be a doctor by not doing that, right? But there's so many opportunities in the trades to not only make a great living, but not go, 50 years into debt trying to get to that position to begin with. And it creates a great life that, not the typical, a lot of schools years ago, especially, I think high schools especially, just really pushed that. And it's almost like everybody else, man, I guess you do whatever you do. And I think that's a mistake. I think it was a mistake. And I love to see the fact that people like yourself are promoting the fact that there's some very good living to be made and very important jobs to be done that doesn't require just sitting at a desk all day and taking nothing away from any of that, but it's different. And I love the fact that you're exposing that and making it
and that's kind of what the built different part of it is. I really think that I was talking to the president of the PHCC, Plumbing, Heating, Cooling Contractors Association, and I had interviewed him. And one of the things that he said is that the average age of people coming into the trades now is 25 years old. Well, that's pretty late in life. And so a lot of people are coming out of college, or they're coming out of the military, or they're starting something, and then they're starting to figure it out. But 25 years old, and it's a great opportunity. And most of those guys can make $100,000 a year if they do all the right things. And right. But where I think the other need is that we need leadership within that. So we need leadership within that. So that's one of the things that I hope Blue Collar Smart can talk about, because we're bringing on leaders that came into the trades and then built their business, and then other people. It's not just turning a wrench, but it's on the wholesale side as well, and the manufacturing side. There's just so many opportunities.
Right. You hit on something earlier, and I wanted to swing back to that too. And it might have been when we were talking pre-show too, but you're a big systems guy. You believe in systems, believe in the value of systems, but you also mentioned, kind of in the same conversation, people and relationships. And I think let's talk about how those two play with each other in the same field, because a lot of people look at systems as scary, as replacing people, as relationships and people don't matter. And I've known you well enough that's far from what you believe. So how do you marry those two together?
Yeah, and I think that you learn by doing, and you learn by making mistakes. So, and if I had done it differently, I probably would have created these systems so that I can leave a legacy behind, so they can take a look at it, and I have. But I really feel like that systems create freedom, and that's a chapter in my book. And because when the people I've talked to, as well as yourself and other people that have created the inspirational operating systems, is that we all have a system. It's just a matter of, are you gonna help create your system, or are you gonna let somebody else create it for you? Because no matter what you have out there, we have a system. It might not be a good system, but if we can help people train and coach, and learn through that, that's when Hugh and Randy kind of go off to the ever land. We can leave that behind as a legacy to make that happen. The problem with systems sometimes is that when it's only a system, then that's the problem. And you've got to be able to put both of them together. There's a great book out there, and it's called Restaurant Smart versus Corporate Smart. But you got to marry both together.
Mm-hmm. And I think, when I think about systems, I've found, and systems that I put together for myself, I think you just hit on it. It's a form of discipline. I learned it once or twice or 20 times or 50 times before I finally figured out what works.
Yeah.
But when I do, I don't want to go from 50 times to another 50 times, right? Once you slide that into a system for me, whatever that may be, until it changes, which you should be adaptable, right? But until something changes, it tells me I need to adapt my system. I don't have to get up every single morning and decide all over again. What am I going to do about A, B, C, and D, right? I can go on to E, F, G, and H and develop something new, right? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes so much sense. I was just listening to Brandon Bouchard, and he's got the High Performance Habit book out there, and he's got a system, and he talks about systems all the time, and that system needs to be internal as much as anything. But and then if you talk to Mark Hunter, Mark Hunter's got his sales system that's out there. And then we all have those systems, but you're right. You don't have to start over the next morning. And guess what? It helps you to stop doing. It helps you stop being busy.
Right. And even when you adjust, as you will, right, and you adapt, you're not starting from zero every time. You're starting from something that's working very well. And now we're tweaking a little bit because we found something that might work a little better. We're not going back to zero every time, right?
Yeah, and you said it the other day because I asked you, what happened during COVID. You had a system that you had developed, and then all of a sudden, everything gets shut down, and Randy has to figure out. He has to tweak that system. You didn't take everything out. But you had to create a different system during COVID than what you did going into it.
Right. And that's where adaptability comes into play, right? I mean, adaptability is a pretty important area to focus on for yourself and your own mindset is to be adaptable. I think even in today's world more than ever, whatever we did yesterday might not necessarily be the same next week, right? So rather than fearing change, if you expect change and you anticipate change and you're willing to adapt, I think that's a mindset that'll keep you out of trouble and out of anxiety, right?
I think so as well. It's I'm a big person because I've been around the block a few times. I've gone through several transitions, and really, I think that the biggest thing that people need to figure out is clarity. I think clarity is one of the most difficult things for most people, and they end up living a life many times of what other people are telling them they need to live. But if they can create clarity within themselves, then building those systems to go around with it and figuring out who it is you want to be and become that person, it makes it so much easier. But Randy, it doesn't just happen with those kids that are coming out of college. It happens with you and me. Every time we go through something that's different, now all of a sudden we've got to get clear again. And clarity, I think, is one of the most important starting foundations that everybody needs to go through.
Exactly. Man, good stuff. So Hugh, the book is going to be out, Blue Collar Smart. Your podcast out now. Let's start there real quick as we wind down because you've been very generous with your time. Where do people find your podcast? When's it on? How do we watch and listen to Hugh, I should say?
So it's on all the channels. It's called Blue Collar Smart is what it's called by Hugh Hornsby. And so it's been syndicated in every channel. And I've been sending pieces out. I have a website. It's www.hughhornsby.com, which all of these will be starting to go onto that website. We're in the process of redoing that right now, but we do have a website out there. The book's going to be coming out, and then we'll have a free chapter that we're going to give. The first chapter we're going to give for free. So if you go onto the existing website, just send me an email and I'll make sure that you get listed for the free chapter. in another week or two, I think the Jitic site's going to come out. So that's going to be interactive on that. And then, every Thursday it drops. So, I'm working with George Wright III, who does a lot with Franklin Planners and some of the others that's helping me get this done.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, I tell you, it was great to be on with you, and it's great to have you on today. And I can't wait until your book comes out. I'm going to be first in line to buy it. I'd like edition number 7.
And vice versa. You've got one coming out as well. So we'll make sure that we put that on there. And listen, just thank you. I mean, I love this industry and I love the people in it. I just cannot tell people enough to listen to your podcast and listen to my podcast, because these are the type of people that really make a difference. And for all of you out there listening, if you haven't looked at the trades industry, please, reach out. You can get a hold of me at Hugh at HornsbyBC.com or Hugh at HughHornsby.com. And if I can help in any way, I will guide you towards possible opportunities that are going to be out there. But it's a great industry. And if you want to come into an industry that has family values and core values and that lives the world of trust, this is a place to be.
Couldn't have said it better. Well said. Final thing. Wes gets really mad at me if I don't do the SAQ. I get lectured and scolded, and as I already told you, that's how I got through school, so I don't want it anymore. Should ask question. Whether something today with me or when you're just out in the street, out wandering around the industry, what's Hugh Hornsby wish people would ask him that just don't? What's a should ask question that people should be asking about the trades, about you, whatever the case may be?
I think there's way too many people today that don't ask. They don't ask for help. They don't look for that mentor. They don't look for a group of people that are like-minded. And I'd say, go find that person, and I do it. I still do it today. Find that person that has done exactly what it is that you want to do, and just ask them for that help. Ask them to be a mentor. Ask them to help you along the way. I think you would be surprised at people that have been in the industry and have had success, that if you ask them, they're going to be more than glad to help. And so I'd say that would be the biggest one. And then last, I want to add this part to it. Last, I want to add that we all have an opportunity to become the person that we want to be. Start acting like that person today. And so I call it be, do, and have. So you want to change the way way that you're viewed. Start becoming the person that you want to be today.
Love that. Love that. Perfect. Great advice, Hugh. Appreciate you being on, brother. It's always great to chat with you. Tell our mutual friend, Don Green, we said hello.
We will definitely do that. I'm going to have Don on here pretty soon. And we'll say a prayer for him because he's going through some health issues.
Yes.
So
I know you've kept me in the loop on that a little bit, which I appreciate. So, but tell him we're thinking about him, praying for him, and I appreciate you being on, brother.
Hey, thanks for the friendship and the brotherhood, and we're in this thing together. And thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Anytime, my friend. We'll have you back when the book's out in full scale, so we can hold it up and show it.
Blue Collar Smart drops. It drops on Thursday. We'll have Dave Sanderson this week.
Oh, great. Love Dave. Perfect. All right, buddy. Love you, brother. Appreciate you.
All right. Thank you.
All right, man. Yep. Bye. There you go, folks. The one and only Hugh Hornsby. Not only is a great businessman, but he's just a great mentor. And he brought a point up that's important to me, is mentoring up and down, hybrid mentoring, I call it. Younger people can mentor older people. Not looking at myself here, and older people can mentor younger people. So make sure you reach out, as Hugh said in the should ask questions, and ask for help. It's there. Until we come back again next week, just doing what we love what we do. Remember, make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow. Cheers, my friends.